Get ready for more valuable financial insights from Northern California's premier retirement income planners, Ahmad and Jim Files, owners of Peak Financial Freedom Group. For more information, go to peakfin.com. And now, here's Dan and Jim.
We'd like to welcome you to the Peak Financial Freedom Hour. I'm Dan Ahmad here with my partner, Jim Files. We'd like to thank all the loyal listeners that tune in and listen to the show every week. A lot of people are already our clients, and they tune in to verify and validate their planning decisions they made to feel comfortable that everything's going to work out. But we have a lot of people that are listening for education, for advice on what they need to do, and just to determine would a firm like ours help them? And we have people that listen to us for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Then they finally call in because what we say now pertains to where they're at in life, and their head, their heart, their gut starts worrying about things. And they say, hey, a lot of these things this Dan and guy and Jim guy say make sense. And actually, I think I'd worry less if I implemented some of those strategies. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is some of the things that can help you stop worrying about your money so much. And if you'd like to meet with us, simply dial pound 250 on your cell phone and say the keyword money. That's pound 250. Send that, and then you'll be brought to the call center, and then you'll say the keyword money, and then someone will come on and they'll say, hey, they'll ask if there's questions you have, if you'd like to meet. There's no cost, there's no obligation, and it'll teach you about then how you can start going through the process, and we can help you answer some of those questions to do that. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of people, a lot of our competitors are out there saying, and we're going to cover it in our own way, and that is beware of annuities, Jim. And we're going to talk about this because there's so much information about annuities out there right now that you need to understand when and where an annuity would fit. So I'm going to take it even one step further, and I'm going to talk about what we talk a lot about on this show, and that is, don't buy a fixed indexed annuity with an income rider unless you want to do certain things. Unless you want to, don't buy a fixed indexed annuity with an income rider unless you want to protect your assets from 100% of stock market losses. So explain that.
What that means is that any assets you contribute to this financial instrument, if the market goes down, you can never lose a penny. You can't lose any of your principal inside the contract, and you cannot lose any of the accumulated gain in your contract, which means that if you're trying to protect money from market risk, you can do that with this product. Also, if interest rates go down, your money's fully protected. So if you want money protected against market losses or interest rate fluctuations, this is a perfect example of that, Dan.
Well, the key here is, don't buy a fixed index annuity if you're not worried about stock market losses. Because if you're not worried about stock market losses, you do not need this protection.
Right.
So it's just black and white. We always will tell you both sides of it. If you're not worried about stock market losses, don't buy it. If you are worried, like a lot of people that are in retirement or getting ready to retire, if you are worried about it, then this can be a viable alternative option for some of your money that we place in one of our buckets. The fixed index annuity with an income rider is our green bucket. And for a lot of you, it will fit because you want to protect your assets from 100% of stock market losses. But if you don't, then we would never, ever offer or recommend that you buy a fixed index annuity. So it's pretty simple. And those types of people probably won't become our clients, because our clients are people that want to reduce their risk and then use the assets for retirement income. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to guarantee you won't lose principal, even if the stock market drops by 20%, 40%, and 50%.
I think everybody's concerned about that, Dan. If you're getting close to retirement or in retirement, you're concerned about market volatility. You're concerned about losing money if the market goes down. And if you're concerned about that, that's exactly what this product will do. It'll guarantee you that if the market go down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%, no matter how often it goes down, you will not lose any of your principal, and you will not lose any of your accumulated gain inside the contract. That's what the contract does.
When you think about it, with all the clients we meet, when they come in and we do a risk analysis for them, we'll find out that they could lose currently, without any modifications to their portfolio, 20, 40, 50, even 60%. We see that all the time. And then if they think back and we say, hey, go back to the technology bubble in 2000, or go back to the 2008 financial crisis, how much did you lose? And a lot of them report that they've lost 50%.
Yep.
And it means these amounts. So this allows you that if you're worried about never ever going through one of those losses again, then a fixed index annuity with an income rider allows you to get rid of that worry. If you're not worried about those things, should they really even then consider an
No,
annuity?
no, go for it. Put the money in the market and just stay the course, and hopefully it'll work out for you, right?
Exactly. So you can make it black and white. A lot of people try to make it gray, why an annuity could be terrible for you. Well, there are many reasons why you would never, ever, ever invest in a fixed index annuity with an income rider. But if you're worried about losses and you're worried about 20, 40, 50, 60% losses, we can then help to mitigate those things by using a fixed index annuity. How about number three? Number three is, what if you can, in writing, reduce your total fees to about 1% on this type of asset, which might save you 50, even 75% in the total fees you're paying, depending on the fees you're paying right now? What if you can now? So don't buy a fixed index annuity unless you want to reduce your total fees down there. How many people want to reduce their fees?
They all do, but most people don't know what their fees are. So when you're talking about fee structure, if you have a managed portfolio and you have mutual funds or exchange traded funds in that portfolio, you're paying probably significantly more fees than you think you're paying. For example, if you have an advisor, you might be paying 1% to the advisor, but if you have a mutual fund or exchange traded fund, those fund companies don't work for free and there's internal trading costs. So when you actually do the fee analysis, most consumers are paying between 1.5% and 2.5% in fees. And if you could get those fees down, would it be of interest to you? And yes, if you want to get fees down, that's the way to do it with a fixed index annuity, Dan.
Yeah. So we say, don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to reduce your total fees to approximately 1% and have that in writing. How about number four? Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to receive guaranteed lifetime income for you and your spouse, even if you live past 100. So let's talk about longevity. So don't buy it unless you want to receive guaranteed income that will last for as long as you both live, even if one of you live past 100. Don't buy it. But if you want the income from a specific amount of your assets to last for as long as you live, regardless of how long you live, then this type of asset, a fixed index annuity with income rider, fits.
It's a perfect fit. But again, you only get two choices in retirement. You either can generate maybe income off your portfolio. It's not guaranteed. Your portfolio will go up and down with the market, or you can generate guaranteed income. And that's what we're talking about right now. If you want guaranteed income, that's exactly what this does. The insurance company will guarantee you a lifetime income stream, very similar to a pension income stream, for as long as you and your spouse live. Period.
Well, and this is key because that's longevity risk. And
Yep.
Isn't that one of the biggest fears people have, is that their income will run out sometime before they do, before they die. So the goal then is to find a way for a lot of people to create that income. If you're not worrying about receiving guaranteed lifetime income because you get $250,000 of pensions, you probably won't need to buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider. But if you do worry about creating income, then it's a perfect asset to be educated on to see how that fits in your overall plan. How about this? It kind of goes hand in hand with it. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to receive guaranteed lifetime income for you and your spouse, even if your account value goes down to zero. If you're not worrying about your income stopping, if your account value goes down to zero, then keep your money in the market. If you are worried and you want to make sure the income never ends, then you should research and find out and get analysis done on how would a fixed index annuity with income rider help you, because you can receive guaranteed lifetime income even if your account value goes to zero in the future.
I think everybody in the world that's listening right now, or in the Sacramento marketplace, I should say, everybody's concerned about their money running out if you're getting close to retirement or in retirement. You're concerned that if you live to a long age and we have market volatility and all your money's in the market, you're concerned about what if I run out of money? This will eliminate that word. You will never run out of income no matter how long you live. My grandmother lived to 103 years old. My aunt lived to 101 years old. If they had a fixed index annuity, they would have never worried about running out of money, Dan, or income, I should say.
Well, yeah, think about it. They never run out of income. And if you look at how people have their money managed now, and let's say they're in stage one of retirement planning, and they have a diversified portfolio of stocks, mutual funds, bonds, whatever they have, their income is directly related to the value of their portfolio. So if their portfolio goes up, down, whatever, then their income is associated with that. Well, what if the portfolio goes down, or what if they take so much income that it drops the portfolio down? And what if their portfolio at some point goes down to zero in a traditional portfolio? That means they have no more income left. So if they're not worrying about that, then don't do a fixed index annuity with an income rider. If you are worried about that and you want to make sure, even if your assets go down to zero, you continue to receive the exact same amount of income guaranteed for as long as you live, then of course you would then consider a fixed index annuity with an income rider, because that's what it does. How about this one? You briefly mentioned something about this earlier, and that is, don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have the opportunity to earn competitive returns without taking excessive risk. So if you basically are saying, I don't care about how much risk I'm taking, I want to earn the highest rates of return possible, you would never ever buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider to fulfill that goal. But if you want to make sure you're minimizing excessive risk and still have the opportunity to earn a competitive return, then it makes sense for you to research and find out, how could a fixed index annuity with an income rider help you?
Yeah, the annuity, the fixed index annuity, gives you the ability to participate in market gains with no market risk. So, for example, if the market goes up a certain percentage, you get a percentage of those gains. If the market goes down, you cannot lose any money. So, yes, if you're in 100% stock, you're not going to compete with 100% stocks, because 100% stocks has 100% risk. You have no market risk, and you have the ability, again, to participate in market gains.
So that puts us at a really good, time to say, these are the things we look at, and these are just a few. Stay tuned for the rest of the show, because we're going to cover all the reasons why you should not buy an annuity and all the reasons why you should consider putting that as part of your overall plan. You're back with the Peak Financial Freedom Hour. This is Dan Ahmad and Jim Files, and we are giving you a lot of information about making the best decisions when you retire. Today, the subject is beware of annuities. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to achieve certain goals. That's the only reason why you do this. So we went through the first 6. The first was, don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to protect your assets from 100% of stock market losses, unless you want to guarantee you won't lose principal, even if the stock market goes down by 20%, 40%, 50%. Reduce your total fees to approximately 1%. Don't buy a fixed index annuity unless you want to receive guaranteed lifetime income for you and your spouse, even if you live past 100. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to receive guaranteed lifetime income for you and your spouse, even if your current account value goes down to 0. And number 6, we ended on, which is where we'll take off right now, Jim, is don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have the opportunity to earn competitive returns without taking excessive risk. And we consider excessive risk someone who at retirement is taking 20%, 30%, 40%, or 50% of risk in their total portfolio. That's excessive, because it's very hard to recover from those if you're drawing income off of it. So maybe look at an analysis of what you've done for a client to find out, what do they really earned in their portfolio of aggressive stocks or mutual funds versus what they should look at potentially earning inside of a plan like this.
Let me give you a general analysis. If you go back to 2000, and let's assume you invested in the S&P 500 every single year, and you never got out of the index. You just stayed in the index. And some years the market went up significantly. Some years the market went down significantly. If I had to ask you right now, if you're in front of me, what do you think the market rate of return was? I'll tell you what it was, 5.07% on the index. That means your average rate of return was about 5% over that period of time per year, compounded before fees or before taxes. So if you paid fees and if you paid taxes on any type of gain that you took out of that portfolio or any gain that was rebalanced, you probably had about a 3.5% to 4% rate of return. Can you earn that with a fixed index annuity? We tell all of our clients we're shooting to get a 3 to 5% rate of return annually, compounded over a long period of time. Now, whether you get that or not, we don't know. But if you look at the data that I just suggested to you in the market, the average rate of return has been about 5% on the index, Dan.
And I think that's important, because when you look at all the risk we take inside the market, that will be excessive when we're retired, not when you're 30, 40, or 45, or 50 even. But if you're retired or within 5 years of retirement and you can lose 20, 30, 40, or 50%, that's an excessive risk, because if that happens, there's a high probability it will have a direct negative effect on your income plans for retirement. So the goal now is to say, let's try to get a decent rate of return without taking excessive risk. Well, people say, well, if you're not taking any risk, how can you get those types of returns? Because they're so close to the stock market. It's because with a fixed index annuity with an income rider, you never ever have to recover from a loss. So we don't have to get huge gains to achieve our rates of return. In the stock market, because of so many big losses, you have to get huge rates of return just to recover. So it kind of puts us in a position with this portion of the portfolio to have a better way to manage risk for the clients. That's why we're using that asset. But again, Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have that opportunity to decrease your risk and still earn a competitive return. How about the next one, number 7? Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to receive guaranteed income increases each year you defer income. If you don't care that your income won't increase while you're deferring, then don't buy an annuity. But if you want to make sure on a guaranteed contractual basis, every year you defer your income increases and it's guaranteed to increase until you start taking income, then a fixed index annuity with an income rider can work out great depending on what the client situation is.
What that really means is that let's assume you're 60 and you want to retire at 65 and you have what is called 5 years of deferral. That means that you can invest your money in these types of annuities, and every year your contract value for income purposes, not lump sum purposes, but for income purposes, will grow at a certain rate. At today's date, that growth rate is 8 to 8.5% at today's rate, right? Which means that every year, kind of like Social Security, if you started Social Security at 62 versus 70, each year you defer, you have an 8% growth rate. These annuities work very similarly. Each year you defer, you have that 8 or 8.5% growth rate for income purposes. So the insurance company will tell you in advance exactly what your income is going to be if you defer 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years, etc. You don't have to defer at all. You can start income almost immediately, but it allows you to have that deferred rate.
Well, let's do an example. I think that you just led me into a perfect example. Let's say someone comes in and they're 60 and they're gonna retire. They're now at 65, and we're gonna do a plan for them. Well, if they put $1 million into a fixed index annuity with an income rider, current rates, then if they wanted to take income immediately, we probably could get close to a 7% payout, which means on $1 million, we can get them $70,000 immediately guaranteed for as long as they live, even if they don't defer. So once the contract is issued, within 30 days, we can start the income. We don't have to wait. So the income's not locked up in any way, shape, or form if we use the right plan. The second would be then, instead of taking that 7% right away, what if that client is going to wait until 65 to retire? Mm-hmm. That 7% then under current rates would guarantee to be more than 10% by the time they reach age 65. So now if they put $1 million in there, how do you think that person would feel if they get $100,000 guaranteed for as long as they live, regardless of stock market losses, regardless of how long they live, and regardless of how much their account earns, if they wait that 5-year time period and get a 10% guaranteed payout of their original investment?
You know, Dan, if people really understood and comprehended the safe withdrawal rate on a managed portfolio, which actually is 3% today, getting 10% versus 3% is substantial.
On a guaranteed basis.
On a guaranteed basis. And what a guaranteed basis means is it's going to come in every month and every year for as long as you live. Even if you ran out of money because you exhausted your portfolio, you took out all your principal, you took out of your gains, they will continue to pay you that for as long as you both live as you're married.
Well, and one cool thing is, let's say this person is 60, thinks they might retire at 65, but not sure. And then at 63, they decide, oh, I'm going to retire. We have the flexibility to modify their plan. And now their payout rate might be 8.5% instead of the original 7, and instead of going up to 10, because they started taking out after 3 years. So we have a lot of flexibility in helping them achieve their goals. You're back with the Peak Financial Freedom Hour. Dan Ahmad and Jim Files here. And today, the subject of the entire show is beware of annuities. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to do certain things. And we covered 7 items so far. Now we're in number 8. And number 8, Jim, is don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have immediate access to income, which can be as quick as 30 days. If you don't need access to income, or you're not going to plan to use this for income, we probably don't need a fixed index annuity with an income rider. But for some of you that are retiring, if you're retiring now and we need to build a plan that gives income access within 30 days, we can do that. Why is that important?
Well, some people don't know when they want to retire. Let's say, for example, you came in our office today and you think you want to retire at 65. And let's just say you're 60 today, but you're not sure if you want to retire at 65. You may get fed up with your business. You might get mad at your boss. You want the ability to retire if you can. Well, when we do a plan, we'll lay all this out for you. What if you retire at 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65? And even though we plan on you retiring at 65, you don't have to retire at 65. If you want to retire in 30 days, you can retire in 30 days and start income off this product. If you want to start it in 2 years, you can start it in 2 years. You're not committed to the time in which you want to activate the income, we'll lay out the plan based on when you estimate you want to retire, but we can activate that income at any time before that.
And I think that flexibility helps people to feel really comfortable now, because the thought of an annuity seems so, concrete, so locked up, when in fact, if we use the right plans, we have the flexibility to take income out pretty much anytime we want. And if we need access to funds, they can also access either a certain percent of the funds on a penalty-free basis, or just like a CD, take all their money out, pay a premature withdrawal penalty, just like a CD, and have 100% of the access to the funds minus whatever their penalty was. So we think it's important to make sure there's flexibility built in to plans, because a lot of clients will tell us, oh yeah, Dan and Jim, here's what I'm going to do, and this is what our plan is for our life. And then 2 years later, they'll come in and they'll say their plan and their life has changed. So we have to be able to help them. But that immediate access to income just provides more flexibility and allows us then to decide, do we want to defer and get more income, or do we want to take income right away and have that money to spend? How about the next one? Kind of key. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have the potential to defer all growth while not taking income distributions. So right now, what that would compare to is, let's say you have a diversified portfolio of mutual funds or stocks, etc. There's going to be dividends, capital gain distributions, etc. That if you have $1 million invested in that, every year, even if you don't take income out, you're going to pay tax on it, phantom income. And even if the market goes down in your diversified portfolio of mutual funds, you're still going to have dividends and capital gain distributions, even if you lose money. So you got to pay tax even if you lost money. So how would you like to then have the opportunity? Let's say you had $3 million in a portfolio that currently is generating $90,000 of taxable income that you're not using because you're not retired yet, and you had to pay tax on $90,000 every year. That means you're probably going to be paying 30 grand in taxes for no reason that you have to take out of your working capital or your current income. What if now, so if you don't need that, if you're okay paying the taxes, then don't buy the fixed index annuity with income rider. But if you do want to have tax deferral of all growth while not taking income distributions, a fixed index annuity allows you to do that, which is a huge benefit to people.
Yeah, the beauty behind that is, if you understand the way financial instruments work, if you have an IRA or a 401k or a 403b or a 457, all that gains inside that portfolio are tax deferred. In other words, they keep on deferring, and you only pay taxes when you start taking income out. Whereby a non-IRA account, in our business is called a non-qualified account, that means the opposite. When you have gain and that mutual fund company sells a position during the course of the year, or your advisor moves and sells a stock and replaces with another stock or a fund, you do have gain. You have to pay taxes. With a fixed index annuity with an income rider, that's all deferred in that non-qualified account. It works kind of like an IRA. It's not an IRA, but it defers the income in that account, so that if you're trying to accumulate growth inside the account, it accomplishes that goal, Dan.
And then when you take the income out, you're only taxed on the growth portion, and it's taxed just like interest from the bank, ordinary income. You're never taxed on your principal. So it gives us an opportunity for planning. How about this one? Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have the potential for income each year, even increased income each year, that can never, ever be reduced. And that's kind of one of the keys of feeling comfortable at retirement, is knowing that your income can never be reduced and potentially has the opportunity for it to grow. And how does that make someone feel then? That if they don't have a pension, they have some Social Security, but none of their other assets are providing guaranteed income. And this allows a guaranteed income source to flow to them that can never, ever be reduced.
You're locking in the insurance company based on the terms that you enter into the contract on that day. So for example, if the terms today are, they will grow your income bucket at 8.5% guaranteed for as long as you want to defer, they will tell you in advance exactly what the income is going to be at 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Once the income starts, it will never stop. It'll continue for as long as you live. And some of the plans allow you to have increasing income, which means in any year that you have a gain in the portfolio side of the annuity, which is called the accumulation side of the annuity, you get the gain there like you would with any portfolio, but that same percentage of gain gets added to your income. So for example, if you made a 5% gain this year on the asset accumulation side of the annuity, with that type of plan, you would also get a 5% income increase. Once the income goes up, it can't go lower, Dan. And that will continue in many plans for the rest of their lives.
So if you're not worried about receiving income that can never be reduced, don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider. If you are worried about that and want to lock that in, then it is a great asset to research to find out, can it fit into your plan? And when you look at planning for retirement and eliminating one of our worst fears, that is our income will terminate at some point during retirement, meaning our income will end before we die, before we end. That's one of the biggest fears retirees have by far. And ultimately, a fixed index annuity with an income rider can help us get rid of that fear because your income will never end and can never be reduced. You're back with Dan and Jim, the Peak Financial Freedom Hour. Today, our topic is beware of annuities. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to significantly increase the amount of income you can safely take out of your assets. If you don't want more income, then a fixed index annuity with an income rider probably doesn't fit for you. But if you want to significantly increase your opportunity for the amount of income that you can safely take out of your assets and will never run out, it could fit perfectly. So maybe give a quick example, Jim, of just how much money can you take out of a standard traditional investment portfolio versus what we could get out of this type of plan.
It's called the safe withdrawal rate. Currently, the safe withdrawal rate is about 3%. So if you had $1 million out of a portfolio, you're not supposed to take out more than 3% per year adjusted for inflation. With a fixed index annuity, depending on your age, but if you're 60 to 65 or 70, that goes up to 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10%, depending on how many years to defer. So we can usually double, in some cases, triple or more the income with a fixed index annuity, Dan.
And when people see that, they're almost dumbfounded because they almost can't believe that that's where these payout rates are, but that's where they are. They're some of the highest payout rates I've seen in 40 years. The good thing is, unlike other assets, when we get into this plan, whatever rate you start at, you're locked in and they can never reduce it. Even if other rates drop in the future, which I think they will significantly drop in the future, we're locked in now at what these current rates are. So it makes it easy for us to do planning. So don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you significantly want to increase your income. How about this one? Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to make sure when you pass away, leave 100% of your remaining funds in your account to your beneficiaries. Well, that kind of goes against what most people think an annuity is. Well, the type of plans we use will state specifically in the contract, when you pass away, any money remaining in your account after you've taken years and years of income off will be paid to your beneficiaries. The insurance company doesn't keep it.
That's exactly right. And that's our biggest fear, right? When we invest in a financial instrument, we want our lives taken care of. We want to make sure if there's money left over, it goes to our kids or our grandkids. And that's exactly the way this works. The insurance carrier does not ever keep your money. When you pass away, whatever's left in that portfolio is going to be passed on to your beneficiaries.
And one other point to make of this is, a lot of people say, well, what if you use up all your principal? Well, you might use up all your principal if you live a long time, because that means you've taken advantage of the insurance company, which we want that to happen. We want you to live so long that you take advantage of the insurance company and they have to pay you whether you have money in there or not. But you have to think about this also. As you get older, you'll spend less and less money. If we've significantly increased the amount of income you're getting, at some point you won't spend it all, you'll save it, and you will leave more money potentially to your beneficiaries, simply because as we get older, we don't spend as much money. How about this one? This is a good one. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to protect your current gains against future losses. And that's important, because if you're not worried about your current gains and you're okay if you lose those, then don't buy the fixed index annuity with an income rider. If you want to lock in gains you have, and some people have some good gains. I've had clients that have had big stocks like NVIDIA, big gains in. We've taken some of the money out and we protected those gains now by placing it into a fixed index annuity. But you get to protect these against losses, because what happens if you have a portfolio worth $1 million and it gains to $2 million, you have $1 million of gain, the stock market drops 50%. How much of your gains do you lose?
You lost $1 million. You're down to $1 million, right? And that happens with the stock market, right? It goes up 10% one year and go down 5% the next year, or vice versa. With the fixed index annuity, anytime the gain is posted to your account, it cannot be taken away from you unless you take income out of it. If the market drops the very next day after the income been posted to your account, the income or the gain stays in your account. Not the income, but the gain stays in your account.
And that's great. That's a great way to not worry about your money so much, if you know that your principal plus gains can never lose against the market. How about this one? Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to earn a portion of index gains when the index increases that you're invested in, but not lose any money when the indexes go down. That, to a lot of people, almost seems too good to be true, but that's what a fixed index annuity with an income rider was designed to do. It's to allow you to get a portion, not all the gain, a portion of index gains when the index goes up, but not ever lose any of our principal or other gains we make when the index goes down.
The beauty about it is that these indexes are created by, in most cases, very professional investment firms that you would recognize. If that index goes up over a period of time, let's say it's a year, at the end of the year, if the index up by a certain percentage, let's say it's up 10%, you get a portion of that gain. If the index is down, you cannot lose any money. So you have the ability to participate in these index gains with no market risk. And as we're aging, that's exactly, Dan, what we want to do.
Well, think about it. If you're in retirement or getting ready to retire and your current assets could lose 50% and you don't like the thought of that, what if we can then use a fixed index annuity with an income rider to guarantee that you'll never suffer a principal loss due to a stock market loss in a downside? But on the upside, what if the index you're invested in goes up by 20% and you only get somewhere between 5 and 10%? Are you okay with that? And you have to then look at that and balance risk and return.
Well, I think everybody, whether they're losing 50% or 10%, if you have $2 million, the market goes down by 10%, you're down $200,000. That's a huge amount of money when you're getting close to retirement. Everybody wants that protection. They just did not know that you could get that level of protection with this type of product.
So don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have the opportunity to earn a portion of index gains when the index increases, but not lose any money when the index goes down. How about this one? Very important. Don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider unless you want to have all your guarantees, promises, benefits, costs, access, and restrictions in writing. If you don't care about having anything in writing, don't buy a fixed index annuity with an income rider. If you care about having all these things in writing, you want to know in writing what your guarantees are. What are the promises? What are the benefits? What's the exact amount of income you're going to get? What are the costs, the access, and the restrictions all in writing? Then you should consider looking at a fixed index annuity with an income rider.
Well, compare that to money in the market. There are no guarantees when you put money in the market, right? If you put money in the stock market, flip a coin. Hopefully you make money. You will lose money at times. There's no guarantees. Matter of fact, past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. You've all heard that term before. With a fixed index annuity, you have a contract in place. You're contractually guaranteed of all of these guarantees that we're listing today. It's in writing, supported by the insurance company. So you can either have things guaranteed or you can have things not guaranteed. With a fixed index annuity with an income rider, you have the guarantees in writing.
And remember, folks, everything about this show was beware of annuities.
For more information about Peak Financial Freedom Group or to schedule a consultation, just go to our website, peakfin.com. That's peakfin.com. And thanks for watching.